Carl, it's great to hear Amy on show again. The Monday unboxing, I've had to pause it because initially you give us both standard and imperial measurements. You mentioned centimeters and inches, and then later on you're only giving us inches. So I feel bad for my friends overseas that are unfortunate enough to have to use the metric system instead of the much improved and superior imperial system as we use here in America. Anyway, let me get back to the show.
Carl Rodriguez is the GMologist, GM extraordinaire, the GMologist.
Hello everyone and welcome to the GMologist Presents, a fun show for you today. I got to hang out with Jason Connerly in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We met, he is there for a conference, and we went up there to visit my wife's father for his birthday / Father's Day, and we were able to meet him at out at Brutal Beer Works Brutal Beer Works Festival 4, their 4th anniversary, and hung out, drank some beer. It was hot, even though we were inside, it was hot. And then we went out to eat dinner. So he, Amy, and I hung out and got to talk and have fun. And we even got to record something. And I was surprised that you can actually hear us pretty well over all the background noise, which I think is kind of cool. About 7 minutes in, there's a guy in the background who's playing live music, music, singing, rapping, actually. And it's about 7 minutes in or so. And I was like, So we talked to him after, and he said, yeah, that's cool. He's on Spotify too. I mean, I know all 2 of my listeners who might like that kind of music. But hey, I'm going to put his link in the show notes and go check him out. He's J/O/E, Joe. I don't know how you pronounce it. E. And there's a link in the show notes to his latest stuff. Parental lyrics advisory on it, of course. Not of course, but there is a parental lyrics advisory on it, just so you're aware. And then, we're also interrupted by one of the people who worked at Brutal Beer Works, so that was kind of fun and funny. So anyway, I hope you like the spontaneity. It's a really cool topic. It's this ongoing PvP discussion. I actually had PvP occur in my game that I ran, and I think it worked out. I think it was cool. All the players were cool about it. So let's listen to Jason and I for a while. And then after that, I have a call from Jason Hobbs, and then a few calls from Jason Connerly, and we'll wrap it up. So here you go. Me and Jason down by the schoolyard.
Well, I'm on my way. I don't know where I'm going. I'm on my way. I'm taking my time, but I don't know where. Goodbye to Rose, the queen of Corona. See me and Julio down by the schoolyard. See me and Julio down by the schoolyard.
Hey everyone, I know people are going to do podcasts at this place. We're at Brutal Fest 4 in Dallas, Texas, well, technically Richland Hills, Texas. And I'm here with a special guest who came all the way from Virginia to hang out.
Hey everybody, this is Jason from Nerds RPG Variety Cast. Carl told me they were doing a Super Troopers themed beer fest, and I figured, hey, I'm off today. I can fly to Florida or fly to Texas. So here I am.
Not in Florida.
Yeah, not in Florida.
Although Texas is becoming, Anyway, no politics. We said no politics. Now, so anyway, you've heard this PvP discussion back and forth, and I guess like after the last, I brought Jason out here because he's the PvP expert, psychologist, and maybe I'm a reformed PvPer because what happened in my last Hyperborea game, well, it ended in 2 players killed and a PvP. What do you think, Jason? Is that Am I a PvPer now?
Did
PvP GM?
Did anybody rage quit the game?
No one rage quit the game. I don't think so.
Well, if nobody rage quit the game, if all the players were okay with the outcome, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, I guess they were. So what happened was I'm running Hyperborea. The player characters were able to find a way into this mansion, like through the sewers in a way, and they found a place where they could use a crowbar and break in, and when they broke through, like it kind of like all this rock. They broke through into the cellar, and in the cellar was a pit was a cistern that had been, stoned up, and they broke through that masonry.
Right.
But then the bad guy, or the mark that they had found, hid like the special stuff there. But then he also had it guarded by asps. So what happened was like they broke through, all these rocks fall down, and no one died though. But then these asps kind of drop on the player characters, and this iron lockbox starts sliding down. And so a fight ensued in very close quarters. One of the player characters was bitten by an asp and died, or was poisoned and was dying. And then one of the other players who was a monk, and monks have this ability in Hyperborea, they can either cure poison or neutralize poison, or cure disease or neutralize poison once a week.
Right.
And the player was neutral, so the player character was neutral, so the player said, hey, if you pay me, I'll save your friend. And then the berserker, Amazonian berserker, who is chaotic good, said, how about I let you keep your head, and that'll be payment enough. And then the monk took off, right? Slid down. They were like in this they're kind of like on a slide, like at an angle. The guy slid down with the iron box that came through with the asp. So one player died because he
never got cured of poison.
Yeah, he didn't have the cure to poison. And the monk slid down, but the barbarian followed. And then it was like a question of, at the bottom, we roll initiative. If the monk would have won, he would just run, right? Run away. Because he's much faster than an armored berserker. But the berserker won. Cut him down. Is that legit? I don't know who's playing in the background. Some crazy band is playing in the background. Yeah,
crazy band. So, honestly, it sounds like both players, played their characters well. Now, I know Joe Richter, who's a big fan of teamwork, is going to think, and there are other people that are big fans of teamwork, that are going to come down hard on this monk, the player that played the monk, right? But the berserker, the chaotic good berserker, it sounds like he played perfectly, or she played perfectly. But the monk, honestly, I don't know, because I've been in your game, and I don't know how that monk was played previously, right?
Well, it's the first time, it's a new character.
Okay.
But I think I set it up. So, like, the guy that hired them to do this job, so the monk, they saw the monk kind of fighting. So, like, I opened up the scene that this guy, their patron hired them to do this job, steal this jewel from a merchant, because, and that was a fun discussion too, because the guy's like, the chaotic good berserker said, I don't want to steal from someone, there's no reason. But then their patron said, well, I legally should have had this item in an auction because I bid higher, but they rigged the auction so I didn't get it. So the chaotic good berserker was like, okay.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. So I want to talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
Let's finish your PvP discussion, though.
Oh, okay.
And we'll talk about missions given to players of alignment, because I've got something to talk about that.
Oh, that's kind of cool. But yeah, it kind of merges, right? Because I think the monk player felt that they played their alignment, and the chaotic good berserker felt that they played their alignment, right? And then the other two other players in that situation, the one that died, well, they have no say in it. But the player was fine with dying. He said, I died like Cleopatra. I got killed by an asp. So that was kind of funny.
Well, and it could be that your monk player, is basing him on our famous, I'm brain farting. You have to edit.
Well, it's okay. I know. Well, that's fine. I probably won't edit because it's like raw.
No, you don't need to edit.
Raw,
but Terry, he's basing it on Terry's Seguji. You know who Terry is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, folks, if you don't know, Carl knows, but go watch the Street Fighter. Now, Street Fighter, of course, is we're not talking about the one with Jean-Claude Van Damme, right?
Right.
We're talking about Sonny Chiba.
Yeah.
And so Terry Segugi in there, Sonny Chiba's character, you know, he's all mercenary. And so he's hired by the brother and sister to break their brother out of jail. He breaks him out of jail. The brother and sister are like, we don't have money to pay you. He's like, well, I'm going to take your sister and sell her into slavery because, you know, you should have paid me. And, you know, it's just what it is. Is that a neutral character?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of extreme, but...
Well, I also set up the neutral character in a way because it's like this patron who hired them was also, they're at this like, they're like at the patron's like tavern, and the patron has like a pit fight going on, and that's how we introduced the monk character, as I had him like fight in a pit fight. And had he won or lose, I would have had him join the group anyway, but he won. And then the patron told him, you know, the player saw that the patron was talking to this new guy joining their group. The patron told him something, and he actually gave him like in a way, this new character was working for the patron. You know, maybe depending on how things went, and kind of contrary to what the players did. Right. So maybe. So I think that player already had that in mind. You know, so that's maybe led to it, right? So
I guess we need. It really is going to fall down to how people feel. So, like I say, I know our buddy Joe Richter's going to say, player skill is being a team player, and this cat's not being a team player. Now, I don't know if that's true or not.
You guys want to cornhole? They're going to do a tournament.
Oh, no, we're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining on our podcast.
You're welcome.
All right.
What's the podcast about?
We both of us do like a gaming podcast for like, you know, role-playing games, tabletop role-playing games, and he does a lot of more podcasts like movies and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, cool.
Hey, we'll promote, you know, Brutal and of course, right? And we're here doing a live podcast at Brutal Beer Fest. So I'll definitely tag you guys when we publish it. All right. So to play cornhole, it's good for you, and you get better. Cornhole is a game to me like frisbee golf and bowling that you get better the more you drink.
That's true. That's 100% true.
That's our public service announcement.
Yeah.
All right.
So from a true neutral point of view, I can see. Because to me, neutral's selfish, because I'm poisoned by the palladium alignment system, right? But you have that question whether because you're playing in a group, should you be playing as part of the group? And that's really the question here. Not whether they played the alignment correctly, but whether there was an expectation to be a team player in the group, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it just kind of boiled down to the monk felt threatened by the berserker because the price the berserker gave was, well, your life, save my buddy, and then it kind of went from there.
Which I can totally see. That's legit. That berserker didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think the neutral monk did anything wrong.
I don't either. Yeah.
Especially since like the lockbox probably has treasure, and he can get it to his patron and cut these guys out. Totally, right?
Right.
So, all right.
So what the tangent I was going to go on in M.W. Lewis, you know M.W. Lewis.
World of M.W. Lewis podcast.
Yep. Go check it out, folks. So in his Friday night AD&D game, we've got a mix of alignments, but some of the characters are good.
Yeah.
And we're traveling and we're stopped over on this little town. And this guy hires us because his brother, I forget the whole dynamic, but basically his brother stole the family recipe for beer or something, and he's opening up his own shop. I think it was beer. And so what his brother, who had the recipe stolen from him, he wanted to hire us to break up his brother's recipe, break up the brother's restaurant, beat his brother up, and then steal the recipe back. He didn't want his brother killed, but he wanted us to go tear up his restaurant, beat his brother up, and bring this recipe back. Which, if you're a good character, I don't know. That's kind of pushing.
That's kind of mean, yeah. That's why I had to convince the chaotic good berserker to go on this mission, because the berserker's like, I why do I want to rob a merchant? It's like
Right.
a legitimate businessman. Why do I want to rob him? So he had to be convinced. And I think it was the patron they had like 2 Amazonian bodyguards, and he talked, and the chaotic good guy goes, well, I'll talk to them in our Amazonian language and see if this guy's legit, which I thought was kind of cool. So the guy went, I mean, kudos to the player. He went out of his way to legitimize him doing this mission.
Right.
So I thought was kind of cool.
Yep.
That's neat. Well, I guess I sanction PvP in my games now. So if you want to sign up for them, it's all on the table now, right?
I think is the big thing, and I think this came out of our previous discussions,
Right.
to go back to aces and eights and all that, is the players need to be aware that this is a possibility,
Right.
and they need to understand, and that falls back on the GM too, to let the players know that.
Right.
So they need to understand this isn't necessarily a teamwork game, it's a every person for themselves game.
It can be a teamwork game,
It
but
can be.
It can be a teamwork game, and maybe that's for the good play, the good aligned player characters in the group. That's probably their expectation. But I think the good thing is like all the players were cool with what happened, right? That was like no big deal. And I think like I even asked the monk, hey, do you want to remake another monk? And he's like, well, no, there's so many fun classes I could play in Hyperborea. I'm going to play something else. So he actually even already rolled stats and might play a warlock or a necromancer in the next incarnation of this player character. But I think it's kind of funny that like the original 2 players that we started this game in are the only ones that survived. So the extras that kind of jumped into the game both died. It's kind of funny.
It's a dangerous world.
Right? It's a dangerous world. That's what I love about these old school games.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks, Jason. Let's go drink some more beer.
Okay, sounds good to me.
All right.
Carl, my man. Loved to see you at NTX. It was wonderful. It was really great having your face in the Gamerhood, our sponsored room, and joining us for the Gauntlet, man. Me, you, Stu, Eric Swanson, TJ, Jay for a little while, Jacob Hurst and his buddy Donnie. All of us just lurking in that hallway as people walk through. You guys all drinking beer and me people watching. It was really fun. My one regret from North Texas in 2023 was the fact that I did not get prepared enough or just make it happen, that game of We Deal in Lead. It would have been really fun playing that live with you. And you should know that I'm the one who organized the Planescape game. I kind of forced Levi into running one for me, and he said he wanted to run one for Beatty and I, and then all the other players. That was something else. That's what happens when somebody finds out you got a sweet game going on at midnight. Regardless, brother, it was awesome seeing you there. It would be great if you came up to Game Hole and Gary Con. Game Hole's in October, right around my birthday, so maybe we'll see you then, brother. Later. Thanks, Jason. Thanks for those clarifications. Thanks for the truth. So there you have it, on tape, live and recorded. Jason Hobbs is the one who organized the famous or infamous Midnight Planescape ride run by Levi Combs. It definitely was a fun ride. And I don't know if I like the name The Gauntlet, but maybe a bunch of guys hanging out by the beer cooler, talking to people, shaking hands. It was really fun. Got to meet a lot of people going through there that were attending the con, and some of them came and grabbed a beer if they were so inclined. Some of them brought back some beer to add to the beer cooler, which is always a cool courtesy, and something to live by. You take a beer, you give a beer, and but it was really fun to hang out. And we'd hang out there, have a beer just outside the while people were playing. We don't want to interrupt people playing games in sort of the Hobbs and Friends sort of room, so we just sat out right outside and hung out, and then would walk to dinner or whatever, or back to another game. So it was really fun, very memorable experience at North Texas RBG Con, and I can't wait to do it next year. Thanks again for the call, brother.
Hey, Carl, Jason here. Listen to your latest episode, and sounds like you had a great time at North Texas. Yeah, definitely, instead of doing your own stuff, hang around the hotel with the people at the convention. 100% that is the way to go. Whether it's late night pickup games or just BSing and talking and catching up, it's well worth it. That networking aspect is probably my favorite part of conventions, to be honest. But, I'm a social gamer anyway, so that kind of makes sense. Anyhow, great stories. Great to hear that. And who knows, maybe next year I'll be able to get out there. But if not, I'll live vicariously through you.
Definitely, Jason Connerly, I hope that you are able to go out there. It's too bad your conference wasn't like 2 weeks prior. Then you could have like mixed and matched and gotten to go to your conference, and at the tail end of the week stayed on for North Texas RPG Con. You're going to have to tell the organizers of your conference to do that. Yeah, it used to be too that Howard Days was around the time of North Texas RPG Con, and that would be fun to do as well. So whether you're able to do Howard Days, I think it's now in March, maybe April, hopefully March. So much going on in April. But you can go. We can go up there and have a kind of group meeting. It'd be really fun. And something I forgot to mention. There was, I think, please someone correct me if I'm wrong. Someone who was there who maybe doesn't call a lot, but is like Stu or Eric. I've heard that there was a Nate Richardson sighting, so as well. So that was very rare and unique. It's very rare that he comes out of hiding ever since the COVID. But it was cool to see him too for a very brief appearance. But maybe I was mistaken and I am delusional. But someone let me know, please. Someone let me know.
I don't think you mentioned it. I might have missed you saying it. So the adventure in the back of the first edition Warhammer Fantasy Role-Playing is the Olden Hauler contract. And again, Inn is part of that. I won't talk about the adventure because I don't want to ruin it. But there you go. Thank you for answering the question, though. I do appreciate that. Hey, Carl, Jason here. So I finished the episode, and Hell in the High Plains sounds like a great resource, great supplement, so very cool. As far as wanting to play with you, of course, I would love to get back, whether it's Old West or Weird West or another genre. We'll have to figure it out. My schedule's kind of screwy. I'll get to you on Discord and we'll figure something out. But yeah, I really appreciate the content you've been putting out lately, and love hearing Amy on the show. And keep up the great work. Talk to you soon.
Hey, Jason, thanks again for the calls. Yes, the Odin Holler contract. It's very interesting. That was in the adventure in the back of the first Warhammer Fantasy Role-Playing Edition 1 rulebook, the core rulebook. And what's interesting is that the Odin Holler contract, it kind of, there's a reference to it actually in The Enemy Within as well, which is kind of funny. It's like there's this ongoing, not part of the campaign necessarily, but some enemies that perhaps you meet or people that you meet in the Odin Holler contract adventure show up again in The Enemy Within, which is kind of funny. There is a big sidebar on it in, I think is was it Death on the Reich? On one of the, I just ran into it last night as I was revising and studying for starting the Horned Rat, which my group and I are going to start very soon. But that was a pretty funny. And yeah, I think it'd be really great to get you in a game. I know you have a very busy schedule. We fortunately get to play in Reaver now and again. But and we were talking about like a Sunday morning or joining the Sunday morning group when your schedule allows, which would be kind of cool. And maybe Savage Worlds is a way to go. It's pretty easy prep, pretty, low key. Don't really have to make a character, although making a character could be kind of a fun session because it seems like everyone uses the little archetype cards as their starting character and then builds from there, which I guess works too. But got plenty of stuff. I actually had brought my Hell on the High Plains stuff and archetype cards and bennies and dice just in case Amy and I got to play, but we were busy seeing family and friends and touring breweries, so we really didn't get a game on. But a game would be really great sometime. So again, thanks for the calls, and I appreciate you, man. And it was great to see you. So glad we got to talk about gaming and have a fun time at Brutal, and then have a nice dinner at Cypress Waters. And hope you had a good conference. And I will talk to you soon. And with that, I think, my friends here at the Geomologist Presents, that will conclude this episode. Thank you for listening. Hope you had a good time. Jason and I certainly did. Hobbs and I certainly did. Amy and I certainly did when we were out there up in Dallas for North Texas and just visiting family. Happy belated Father's Day to everyone. I hope you had a great that listens and is a father and that listens, and I hope you had a good one. And thank you for listening to the Geomologist Presents. You can drop me a line at geomologist@gmail.com, either an email or a voice message. You can DM me on the various Discords. My handle is simply Carl Rodriguez in the DMs. Maybe I should make a Geomologist one. I am not sure. I don't know if you can make multiple Discord handles. Someone let me know. You can leave me a message on SpeakPipe. I have a link in the show notes. And you can also try and leave a message on Spotify for Anchor. It's kind of challenging. The intro and outro music are by T.J. Drennan. I've mentioned the background music in the segment that Jason and I recorded already. Amy, my wife, does the cover clip art. So thank you so much for listening. I am the Geomologist. Good night and good rolling.